This is just a short video to show one of my new creations, which is a four-masted schooner which would have been sailing around the coastal waters of the British Isles and of course the home waters around northwest Europe during the from about the 1850s, perhaps earlier, right the way through to the turn of the century up to the First World War and a little bit afterwards. And I've set this as a locomotive, and there we are, going to free roaming view for trains. Now it doesn't have cargo attachment points or anything like that. It's designed really just for the effect, and let's just take the speed down a little there. That's about it. I can't put in a sway for the wind or whatever like that, and I've tried to keep it as a low poly model so that you can add it in without it really taking a hit on the graphics. And looking at it there, I think maybe I've set it a bit too high in the water, so I might reduce that a bit more. The freeboard there should be a bit less, but it's just in final sort of testing. It's got to go to my beta tester Bob, and there will also be a version without the sail set, which will be there just for filling up a harbour and for use in docks scenes, that sort of thing. And I've just stopped it there because there's only a short length of invisible track, but it gives you an idea. I've tried to, as I say, I've tried to keep it as very low poly as possible. They are tiny textures and very basic detail, well, very few details indeed, but just to give the overall effect of a four-masted schooner, the sort that plied between around the little coastal ports. The particular ones I'm interested in are the ones that sail between the Antrim coast, carrying iron ore, ironstone, to the furnaces, the smelters in Cumbria and in Glasgow, and indeed some to South Wales. So I'm going to do, simply by taking out masts and reducing the length of this, I'm going to produce a 3-master and a 2-master, and again they'll also be available as scenery items. I've not put any figures on. I've tried to keep it as simple and as straightforward and as low poly as possible. So the idea is that, especially with the scenery ones, is you can have quite a few of them, and you can begin to build up that effect with my other ships of the sort of crowded harbours and ports that there used to be in the 19th century with sailing ships and early steamships and so on. So there we are. That's a schooner, a four-masted schooner, set as a locomotive, but it won't. It's not designed to pull anything. It's certainly not designed to pull the. You see, there's a couple of my scenery Thames barges over here. It's certainly not designed to do that. It's simply to create that overall effect. So relatively, a relatively low poly, low hit, low size, small size file for that. So there we are. Well, I hope that's of interest, and if you've got any questions or queries or comments about it, I should be releasing it probably in let me see, the date today is the 20th, so probably be in early February by 2019, which is once it's had a chance to be checked over by Bob, my beta tester. So if you have any questions or comments, please do leave them. Please do leave a thumbs up for this video if you've enjoyed it, or you found it interesting that I'm producing this sort of thing. And if you like the sort of stuff that I'm producing, the models that I'm producing. And also, of course, you can subscribe to my channel, ING4Trains, on YouTube, and that'll be very welcome indeed as well. So there we are, a four-master schooner for Trains Railway Simulator. And I thought I'd finish the video, but what I've done is I've lowered the schooner into the water a little bit more, and see it moving. Look, freeboard. There we are. So it's down the freeboard. There's less freeboard. Oops, that's under the water, and so that's a bit more accurate, I think. But otherwise it's just the same as I was showing in the early part of this video. I've just gone in and made that adjustment. And there it is, sailing away. There we are. So if we can get a sunset, we can get some red sails. I like the shadow especially. So there we are, 4-masted schooner. As I say, off to be beta tested now, but considering it's a fairly basic model, it should be straightforward and hopefully something quite nice to have in your harbour layout, or sailing up near a river next to a little terminus station or whatever. It's going rather slowly there. Anyway, let's give it a bit more wind. But it just runs as a locomotive on invisible track. So there we are. Fine. I haven't given it a name, and in fact I realised I haven't even given it an anchor. Well, that would have been on deck, but again it's because I wanted to keep the overall size of the model very as small as I possibly could, and just try and create the overall image of these ships. It's amazing the sort of things that we've been sailing up and down the rivers and estuaries and out into the sea back in the 19th century, early part of the 20th century, all part of the industries and transport systems that the railways were part of. Okay, so there we are. So as I said before, leave a comment if you wish, and please do subscribe to my channel.